are watching CIOTV by Enterprise IT World, a production of Accent Info Media.
Hello and welcome to CIOTV.live. We have been speaking to stakeholders of the industry's tech division, including CIOs, CISOs, about how they are looking at their digital journey along with strong security paraphernalia. Today, our guest is Mr. Varun, Regional Infosec Lead, Serco UAE. Varun, welcome and thank you very much for taking time out and speaking to CIOTV.live.
I appreciate this opportunity, Sanjay. Thank you very much.
Varun, you have been a GRC and security professional in EMEA region for last 11 years with experience in managing cybersecurity transformation program to bring a paradigm shift in the organization's security posture. Managed and delivered various large-scale transformation and security management projects in large organizations, providing specialized leadership insights and best practices in technology, strategy, enterprise architecture, and implementation of risk management, information security, business continuity management, and cyber compliance framework. It's a good credential around you, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in today's world, 360-degree view of cybersecurity is very essential. So I think I was quite lucky and grateful to get the opportunity to venture into all territories of cybersecurity.
All right, Varun. If you can let us know about your employee strength or assets that you are managing or protecting.
Surely. So, Serco is an FTSE 250 company, just like we have Fortune 500 companies, and it has got 65,000 employees across the globe. We have four key regions. We have UK, which is our headquarters. Then you have North America, you have Middle East, and ASPAC region. I'm responsible for cybersecurity operation across Middle East. The key businesses, what our organization is into, is focusing primarily on government and semi-government organization. The kind of services we offer are actually aviation, transport services, facility management, citizens services, which also include prison management for different regions. That's what our organization do in a nutshell. And I'm responsible for Middle East region. We cover UAE, Saudi, Qatar, all these regions. I'm responsible for the cybersecurity operation. So our region is one of the smallest region in terms of asset size, but still it is quite significant because it's stretched across Middle East.
Very critical questions. IT or cybersecurity, if you look at from ages, are seen as cost centers. Business is somewhere else. The decisions making happen in a different layer. IT is seen differently. So how do you see these days IT and cybersecurity aligning with business performance?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, cybersecurity is becoming a top agenda thanks to the regulations like GDPR, and all these cyber attacks are also, bringing it into limelight. So there was a very famous breach what happened, Equifax, and where even the CEO of the organization, unfortunately got sacked. So it has become one of the talk of the town, and cybersecurity being one of the biggest risks. So World Economic Forum says biggest, one of the biggest risks after pandemic globally is actually cyber. So it gives a lot of weightage, and that's why we are seeing that now senior management are started talking about cybersecurity. That is one of their agenda now in the boardroom, and I think it is very essential for a cybersecurity professional to talk cybersecurity in business terms and try to also align it with the business strategy. So, for instance, because you can spend billions of dollars in cybersecurity without affecting the bottom line. So understanding the nature of the business. So if someone is an e-commerce organization, then their key components of cybersecurity would be like application security. If they are in cloud, they focus on cloud security. So try to prioritize the business objectives and try to accept the risk with business. So if business is saying we are willing to accept the risk, you be quite agile, you be adaptive to embrace the organization objectives.
So what is the kind of trend you are seeing pure on a pure play cybersecurity space?
So it's a very interesting time in cybersecurity, and the reason I say it's quite interesting for cybersecurity professional is because we call it as Industrial Revolution 4.0. And many experts said that the changes world has seen from 1900 century to 2000 in 100 years, the same changes now we are seeing in a matter of next 5 years. So world is changing dynamically. Even because of this pandemic, the growth with which cloud got adopted, mobility got adopted is absolutely extraordinary. So experts say that if organizations are not willing to embrace the digital revolution, then they will be left behind. Now, how does that help in cybersecurity? When we talk about these new innovation technologies, we are talking about blockchain, we are talking about artificial intelligence, big data, mobility, and cloud. Now, IBM has got something called as IBM prediction curve. So they say that the amount of data what we are exposed actually gets double in every 12 months. But now they are saying with IoT coming into play, the amount of data will actually get doubled in 24 hours. So the amount of data what cybersecurity professional need to protect is actually monumental. And now the second reason why I'm seeing that the trend is changing and we have this new technical revolution is now there are no perimeters. Earlier there were like perimeter for the organization. Now you have mobility, you have cloud. There is literally no physical perimeter out there. So your scope, your purview, what you're trying to protect has become so complicated. And when that become complicated, the threat landscape become very intrinsic, very sophisticated. And that's why the job of cybersecurity professional has become way complicated than ever.
Mm. So in a very large organization like yours, how do you ensure what are the technologies that you are evaluating or you have used already protecting the organization and the assets, the people, the senior management? If you can take me
Surely.
through
So
that.
yeah, one of the key technologies which we focus, and it's, as I said, risk management is the cornerstone of any cyber program because Microsoft spend $1 billion annually on cybersecurity, and even that is not enough. So what we have done from a risk management standpoint, we realized 85% of the time some privileged accounts get compromised during a cyber attack. So we have heavily focused on least privileged solutions, identity and access management solutions, focusing on application whitelisting solutions, having a good updated antivirus, having a next generation firewall. I think these are some of the technologies which are kind of the forefront. It improve your cybersecurity operations dramatically. Along with these prevention technologies, there should be focus on detection and response, and that's where the SOC comes into play. And then in SOC, you have these SIM solutions and network behavior anomaly solutions, and that's it. That's how it gives you a 360-degree view of your cybersecurity.
Mm. So these days, I think predictive analysis, the SIM kind of things, SOAR kind of environment is becoming very, very important because
Yeah.
you never know what is going to come. So predictive, visibility, at least some AI-based things can help you in uh, uh, protect or at least see what is in the future so that you can create your plan. So what's your strategy around that?
Surely. So one of the biggest problem I have seen, and I have talked to a lot of cybersecurity experts, and the biggest drawback right now, the
Hmm.
disadvantage what we're coming across is there are hardly 1%, and that's very controversial. Some people say 3%. that the successful detection of a security incident by a SOC is less than 1%, which is very minimal. So then
Hmm.
management asks, we have literally, spend such a huge amount on cyber security, and we are not even able to detect the security incident. What's the point of spending so much money? And
Hmm.
that's where some very wise people came up with this SOAR concept, and that's where we are seeing a huge change happening. Because when you talk to SOC analysts and you try to understand their pain points, it's like why you're not able to detect, what are the challenges you face. And one of the key challenge what you will hear is there is a concept called as alert fatigue. Yeah,
Hmm.
literally they are finding a needle in a haystack. So there are millions of events happening and they have to find that one which matters the most.
Hmm.
And that's where, because humans have their own limitation, that's where these technologies, advanced technologies like SOAR, are bringing huge value. They are
Hmm.
finding a needle in a haystack for you, and then you apply your human intelligence. It improves your detection and response capabilities dramatically. It has a huge value add. So one of the famous, the most biggest data breach what we have seen in the past was Target. And in Target data breach, which cost millions of dollars to an organization, there were two root causes found. Yeah, one was a misconfiguration, and second one was detection and response capabilities. So if the detection and response capabilities are improvised using a SOAR, organizations will be proactive. They will be able to see some blind spots and able to connect the dots that something fishy is happening in the environment, and they are able to
Hmm.
take necessary steps.
Now, there is always a game when there is any kind of aberration happens or attack surfaces. The OEM says that the configuration was not that great. You didn't take care of that. Then the customers or the CIOs or CISOs say that OEM, you didn't tell us that these configuration need to be done or these measures to be taken. So in that situation, what needs to be done and what is your best practice?
Yeah, so our strategy is quite simple. There are two elements into it. One is measure.
Hmm.
We say you cannot improve if you cannot measure. And
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
where the moment you don't have the, what we call it as, there are two phenomena I use: key performance indicators and key
Hmm.
risk indicators. So you
Okay.
start with key performance indicators, and
Hmm.
then you start shifting towards key risk indicators, because
Hmm.
business understand risk. So if you have built some metrics around it where you can weigh that, hey guys, we are good in these areas but we lack in these areas,
Hmm.
and then there are certain risks which may require investment, which may require funding, may require projects. Those things you convey to the right stakeholders, get those risks accepted and documented. So now what happens when things spin out of control, when unanticipated event happen, then there is not going to be a blame game, or at least the blame game is going to be suppressed to a large extent, because you have a data to show that I told you so. So
Hmm.
that's the strategy what we use.
Okay. You have your own team or you are dependent on the third party for all
We
these
have third
activity?
parties across India and across UAE.
Apart from these IT aware people, there are other departments where people are not so aware, but they are accessing all this mail, messaging. They're getting, I mean, I have heard a lot about that. The uh, MD sends message saying that you transfer so money or, extend this messaging to other people as well. So there is a lot of spamming, lot of, hacking happening and you cannot do anything about it. Despite having our best of breed email security, it's all everywhere happening. So this is about learning. This is about creating awareness. So what is the strategy you have adopted, create awareness, number one? And what is there a piece that you are saying that this is a genuine message from the MD or the senior management? This is not genuine.
Surely. So one thing I say, yes, we only say that. Uh, so there is a famous thing said by FBI director. He said there are two types of companies in the world: those who have been hacked and those who don't know they have been hacked. So we always say that cyber attacks are inevitable. We are just trying to reduce the probability and the
mm,
impact. Yeah,
mm,
we want to become resilient. So now when it comes to having this security awareness, because as you said, there are so many APT attacks, all sophisticated technologies, there are flaws. So we have a concept which is a globally accepted concept. It's called as defense in depth. So we are saying that, okay, you receive some spam email, user was supposed to do the due diligence, let's say that failed, yeah, but you still have a good control, the second control to prevent you from cyber attack. That could be a very amazing effective antivirus solution. If that fails, you have an amazing application whitelisting solution. Then you can prevent that compromised machine to affect other machines, so you have
mm,
layers of defenses in place. So maybe one machine get compromised, but that cannot bring the entire organization down. So defense in depth plays a very pivotal role, because when I speak to business users, sometimes they are really caught up so much into their day-to-day operation. They say that, it's just in the spur of the moment, they just clicked on the mail and that thing happened. And second thing, to answer your second question, uh, it is a combination of technical security and the awareness, yeah, so that you are able to spot genuine emails. So there are some fantastic concepts which prevent your maybe your MD or CEO's mail to be spoofed.
mm,
So like DMAC is a email security concept. It helps you in that you have SPF records. So there are technical elements which can take care. And then from a awareness standpoint, I highly encourage to have phishing simulation program, so that you don't need to experience the real spam email. You experience a simulated one, and then
mm,
you measure. So
mm,
in an organization, generally, if you have less than 5% clicking ratio, your organization is doing quite well.
mm. All right. Now you said that the management is talking a lot about cybersecurity as well. So similar is the case with your management. They are convinced about 2022, the budget that you are asking. Do you see any challenge there?
Yeah. So one thing I've seen, when cybersecurity is a top agenda, I think the getting the budget, getting the acceptance from the management become relatively easy. Um, but at the same time, organizations during this pandemic have also, hit the bottom line. That's where the second, the level what you work upon is the risk management basis. So yes, we have seen a very incredible spike in the funding in last 5 years, but in 2022, I think it's gonna slow down a bit, and we'll
Okay.
focus more on the risk management.
All right. So any new projects that you have embarked upon or you are planning because the year is yet to start?
Yeah, so like you and I discussed on the misconfiguration element, so that's where we are trying to work on something what generally people found it boring, like your day-to-day operations, trying to improve the configurations of the assets. So you don't need to invest into new technologies. You already have technologies in place. Experts say, especially in Middle East, they have bought all the fancy shiny tools, but the overall utilization is less than 15%.
That is true.
So the prime focus is to improve the capabilities of the existing solutions, avoid misconfigurations, again have KPIs to find that these are the X number of misconfiguration and try to fix it. Because doing several security assessments, we have found out you always miss the basics. They say the 0-day attacks stand for less than 3% of the total attacks. So you have
Mm.
to focus first on the 97% of the common attacks which the world knows, and then you climb up the ladder.
All right. One practice that you are doing, you have adopted that you feel that your peer group or other CISOs, CIOs need to adopt. What is that best practice or one best practice that you can advise?
So there is one advice. It has got 4 components, but that is the crux of everything. So this is called as so Australian government, they did some research on loads of cyber attacks. Yeah, they call it ASD, top directorate. So what they found interesting after studying so many data breaches, that there were some very basic things. They said if you have those basic things in place in an organization, you can prevent somewhere around 85% of the cyber attacks out in the market. And the beauty is it doesn't require massive investment. It requires some of the basic things. Yeah. So one thing is you, and it's very rudimentary and boring, but very essential. Patch your operating system on a regular basis. Then you patch your applications also sitting on your OS on a regular basis. Then you have an updated antivirus. And last but not the least is you apply the least privilege concept at every level, whether it's your endpoint, it's your infrastructure server. So if you apply these 4 things on a regular basis and you measure it, you can actually prevent around 85% of the cyber attacks. So I always encourage that yes, technologies like SOAR, we discussed such a fantastic technology. It's doing wonders for the organization, but let's not underestimate some traditional fundamental concepts of cybersecurity. These two should go hand in hand. That's my advice. Along with that, I would also say that, uh, you know, I think management can understand cybersecurity as long as you articulate in a simple language. So we always say that the biggest irony and the dilemma in cybersecurity is the that we you should never underestimate the attacker, because
Mm,
they have to be lucky once, but you have to be defensive and successful every single time.
mm,
Yeah. So you have to fix hundred and thousands of vulnerabilities, but they have to just find one vulnerability. And same thing what we found in Equifax also. Just one vulnerability and the entire organization, you know, burned into ashes. So that's my advice. Like you work on something which matters the most. Let's not have a $100 fence around a $5 asset. That's what I would say.
all right, Varun, thank you very much for taking time out and speaking to CIOTV.live.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity, Sanjay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that
Yeah.
was Mr. Varun Biz, Regional Infosec Leader, Serco UAE. If you have any question or query, please write to us. My mail ID is given here at the end of this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.